Learning new skills, especially technical ones, can be daunting. More often than not, we're smarter than we give ourselves credit for, though. Hi all, Hank from Right to Real here, and today we'll be going over using intercuts. This is one technique I avoided using for a long time, afraid I would use it incorrectly and look like a complete noob. So, what is an intercut? Intercut, or to intercut, alternate scenes or shots with contrasting scenes or shots to make one composite scene in a film. Simply put, we'll establish two or more settings and let the reader know the plot is unfolding as we switch back and forth between them, eliminating the need for scene headings. It can be used for a variety of reasons, but the most important is to create white space. Remember, this is the reader-friendly type of space in your script. So instead of typing the same two scene headings over and over again, it's implied we're switching between the two locations. Now before we jump into an example of how to do it, most people think of phone conversations when chatting about intercuts. Sure, that is one intended purpose, but since we're always asking ourselves, does this scene move my story forward, switching between two people talking and just gabbing on the phone may not be the best presentation for the information you're trying to convey to the reader. If you have two characters simply talking, we know to cut scenes like this. However, if you have a scene where a father's on the phone listening to the villain torture his daughter by cutting off her finger, that could justify an intercut. A more common method for phone conversations in scripts is to simply show one character using the voice of the other character that's not on screen. Or, for added suspense, only the character on screen is shown reacting to the dialogue that we can't hear. And the format for this differs as well. There are arguments to use VO for voiceover, where mechanical or synthesized speech is used, like on a telephone or an answering machine. And there are other arguments for a simple OS, noting the voice is coming from off-screen. Here are some examples from proscripts. First is The Matrix. In this scene, Trinity is talking to Morpheus, and as you can see, the VO next to Morpheus' name signifies that it's a voiceover, or that he's not actually there with her. The second example comes from the script Her, the Spike Jonze story about a man who falls in love with a computer program. Here, female speaks off-screen, denoted by the OS, until she finally introduces herself as Samantha, and stays that way for the rest of the story. Important to note here, though, is for cases like this, a reader must be aware that Samantha will never be on screen due to the fact that she's a computer operating system. Our last example comes from the script Captain Phillips, where conversations are either into phone or through phone. This is probably more typing than is necessary, but for clarity's sake, it does work. Personally, I default to a simple OS for all phone conversations in my scripts, and once I put it in there, I always use it. My fear here is that by not using it consistently, the reader may assume the character is suddenly there in person with my other character, which leads to confusion, and perhaps even the reader going back into my script to figure out if they missed something. This takes the reader out of the story. This can't happen. Luckily though, whichever route you choose to go, know that it's really not a major format issue. And so long as you're clear and consistent, meaning the reader isn't getting lost, you'll be fine. Alright, enough tangent talk, let's go back to the main issue, intercuts. In addition to saving time and space, an intercut should help you do what for your plot? Build tension, that's right. Twists are fun to do here, tricking the readers one way and then treating their minds to the truth. Here's an example from a random script I wrote for a contest that I found in my personal archives. Okay, the first thing we need to do is establish our scene locations. Exterior, office building, night. Smythe, 38, handsome and dressed in black, rappels down a windowed building, barely a shadow against the reflective surface. He lands in a window washer's rig parked on the same floor as an employee party. Smythe works efficiently, removing the window in front of him and entering the office beyond. Exterior, nearby rooftop, night. Darling, 30, attractive and also dressed in black, watches Smythe disappear into the office. She methodically opens a briefcase, assembling the rifle parts inside. Interior, dark office, night. Smythe clicks on a flashlight and scans the room. Computers and hard drives fill it. In the center of the room is a work table. A laptop sits on top of it. The login screen glows a steady blue. He smiles and clicks off the flashlight, laptop illuminating his face. Interior, office lobby, night. The employees are having too good a time. Normandy, 50, well-dressed and handsome, leads Susan, 25, bookish but attractive, away from the crowd. Normandy confiscates 2 empty glasses from a nearby desk, as Susan distracts a nearby group into their cups, allowing Normandy to steal their bottle of champagne. She laughs, and Normandy leads her around a corner, no one the wiser of their mischief. Exterior, nearby rooftop, night. Darling snaps her scope onto the completed rifle and points it at the building, surveying the scene inside. Here's where we get to our intercut. Intercut. Lobby, rooftop, office. Susan leans into Normandy and gives him a sloppy kiss. He smiles and returned it. Susan beams up at him. Let's go to your office. Mine appears to be occupied at the moment. Normandy points to a nearby office. The blinds are closed, but the light is on. 2 pairs of feet, just below the blinds, as silhouettes slap against the office window due to the action inside. Can we sneak into yours? It'd be a shame to waste this. He shakes the bottle and glasses in front of her. Susan shoots Normandy a knowing smile, grabs his hand and leads him down the hall. Come with me. Darling follows Normandy through the scope of the rifle. He's here. She scans to check on Smythe. Smythe successfully hacks into the main system via the laptop. Methodical, he inserts a memory card into the computer, clicks a few keys, and files begin to transfer on screen. Darling scans back to Normandy. Susan stops abruptly, forces Normandy against the wall, and kisses him. With a laugh, he kisses her back, but pulls her towards her office impatiently. Let's find someplace more private. Darling scans back to Smythe. The file transfer is halfway complete. You're not going to make it. Smythe glances at the door. Susan is there fumbling to unlock it. Smythe ducks down behind one of the servers nearby. Suddenly the door opens. Normandy enters, looking around the room seriously. Susan tries to embrace him, but he steps just out of her reach with his back to her. She tries again, and Normandy looks back with an empty smile. Turn on the lights. I want to be able to see you. Susan pauses for a moment, then giggles. With her back turned, Normandy reaches into his jacket. The lights come on, and Normandy draws a gun. He slowly scans the room. Smythe removes his own gun from his belt. He peeks at Normandy and Susan from behind the hard drive. Darling watches the scene unfold. He's got a gun too. Smythe smiles as he sees Normandy, but ducks back into the shadows, Susan now looking at her open laptop. I didn't leave this. Is that window open? Normandy moves towards her. He embraces her, turning her away from the computer. As they kiss, Normandy moves the gun behind her back, which is now facing Smythe. Smythe stands and prepares to fire. I'm taking the shot. Darling fires the rifle. A silent dart flies through the open window into the office, striking Smythe in the shoulder. He tumbles forward unconscious, knocking over a computer. Seeing him for the first time, Susan screams. Normandy walks over to Smythe and checks his vitals. Earpiece in Normandy's ear, as he nods his thanks to Darling on the opposite rooftop. He walks over to the laptop just as the file transfer completes. Susan panics. What's going on here? Normandy tucks the memory card into his coat pocket and grips Susan firmly by the shoulders. Everything's fine now, but I need you to stay calm. Susan recoils at his touch and strikes him. Darling fires again, and the second dart striking Susan, who doubles over into Normandy's arm. Sorry you can't take her home. Meet you out front. Darling breaks down the rifle, stores it in the briefcase, and quickly exits the rooftop. Normandy removes the dart from Susan and tosses it on Smythe. He carries her down the hall and back to the party. Approaching a man, he sets Susan down in a nearby chair. It looks like someone had too much to drink. I found her in my office. Can you make sure she gets home okay? The man smiles and nods, then looks confused as he sees through his buzz. Do you work here? Normandy glares at him. Keep her out of trouble. The man, more concerned, but want this to be your last party in this office? At Normandy's superior tone, the man shuts up and goes back to the party. Normandy exits, his cover still intact. So by intercutting between the lobby, the office, and the rooftop, we were able to eliminate all those different scene headings as we watched the plot unfold between Smythe, Normandy, and Darling. Save time. Was it a lengthy example? Sure, but remember, establish your settings, then signify you'll be switching between them as the story unfolds until the next scene heading via the word intercut. Quick and easy tip to implement, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you found this video helpful, comment if you need a particular topic covered, and then join us at Write to Reel for more discussions on screenwriting. Oh, and remember, write your butts off.